Hi, this is Janet, and I am the only one hosting the live Q&A, and I do not have a participant. So as I'm sitting here alone in my beautiful little home, waiting for someone to join me, I decided that often people don't have questions, but they join because they're interested in hearing more about being inspired, better horsemanship, some education, something that might help them create more beauty in their ride. And I think that's what Robert and I like to focus on. We talk about trust and confidence, but really it's expanding your joy. I was just reading an article that I can't even remember his last name, goes to tell you how much I pay attention to music, but Charlie Watts, that's his name. Charlie Watts just died, the drummer of the Rolling Stones. And although I'm not a huge Rolling Stones fan, I grew up with them because my two older sisters love them. So I did listen to them quite a bit as a child, and I do admire their music ability. And I was reading the article, and what I found interesting is here's a man in 1963 joined the Rolling Stones. That's the year I was born. In fact, he joined before I was even born. And how they go on tour and how he still plays. And as I was watching a little clip of video, what caught my attention was his focus on him being the drummer and allowing each band member focus on doing their thing. And I imagined for myself that he didn't concern himself with how Mick Jagger might have been strutting up and down the walkway and singing. What he concerned himself with was his playing the drums, and not as much as a getting or being better than anybody, but to me it seems like he was allowing spirit to flow through him, his art. And you can imagine how many times that man has practiced the drum set and still at his age at 80 was finding passion and more expression through his playing the drums. And I am fascinated by that, being able to create meaning day in and day out with something you've done so many times, but being able to have it more meaningful. I think to me that is what writing is about. And I think for most people that they have something in their life that brings them that kind of joy, that they're able to immerse themselves in it and find greater joy. And the article talked a little bit about his technique, which I didn't understand at all. And you could say that as I was reading it, the details of the article and even watching the video that, as the Bible says, don't throw pearls to swine. Well, I felt like I was really the swine watching that video because I didn't see any of his technique. I couldn't appreciate any of his technique. And I think a lot of times when I watched people ride when I was much greener, that it was really hard for me to appreciate the technique, but I so enjoyed the beauty of the ride. And in his case, I so enjoy the music, and I so enjoy watching him lose himself in playing the drums. And I think for people who are committed to their partnerships with their horses, it's losing yourself in the partnership so that at those moments, you don't have the ego. You're not trying to pretend, you just are. And what's flowing feels beautiful, and your focus to that allows you to not focus all on the past or the future, but to be fully in the present moment, which is when we are most able to enjoy who we already are. And we're so focused on, in his case, the drum set, in my case, on the ride, that I don't even have time to worry or doubt, that I'm just in the moment of riding the most beautiful ride I know how to do. And that it feels beautiful. And when I think about inspired horsemen and what we do, building trust and confidence, it's to build the trust and the confidence in yourself and your horse so that you can turn loose and have that beautiful ride. And I think as we dig deeper into that for ourselves, we recognize and realize how important our self-image is of that, or what we think of ourselves, or what we think of who all we are, the unity of everything, so that we can open ourselves up to allow something more beautiful to come in. And how you go about opening yourselves up to allow that greater joy to come in, letting go of the past and not focusing on the future, and having a dream or desire. And when you go and ride, that you actually are allowing, and you know in your heart that there's a greater connection in the simplest of things. And it's not about getting the thing done. It's when we turn loose of accomplishing the task and we find ourselves immersed in riding the task that we begin to feel of the horse. And the horse puts his whole self into everything he does. And that's what, to me, is so attractive about the horse. And when I ride in the present moment, I put my whole self as well in the ride. So all of my feelings, all of my emotions, everything shows up. And sometimes that feels good and sometimes it doesn't. But by having the trust and confidence in myself and my horse, and I would say the courage to allow myself to show up, then I have the opportunity to have those experiences courageously, confidently, and then to choose different ones in the future. And so as I'm no longer anchored to those past feelings that I might be trying to avoid, or anchored to, oh my gosh, doubt, what happens if I can't do it? And in the moment, I'm focused on what I can and can't do versus just being in the moment. And when I'm in the moment, and I'm sure when you're in the moment, and those things are not a part of your anchor, that you can really experience everything and realize that nothing is bad. It's just the experience, how you can just let it go and allow a new one to come in. And that's the horse. When you ask him to express himself in a greater way, that's a new experience for him. It's probably a new feeling. And the challenge is there for many of us is our anchor to the past, the things we're afraid of, but also if we're holding on to the past joys. It's so common for myself to go out and ride a circle and not even try a transition, because if I try the transition, something might fall apart. But it's in the falling apart that something greater can come about. And that's what I'm learning, that the more transitions I do, the more opportunities and the more experiences present themselves. And when I ride courageously, not by doing something that looks courageous to somebody outside, but by willing to try something new, then I open myself up to these new experiences. And that builds trust and confidence and a greater partnership with the horse, that continually improving ourselves, continually, you could say, opening yourself up to something more joyful. And that is inspired riding. That, to me, is inspired living. And I thought this was a great opportunity to share with you in this live Q&A what riding is, what inspired riding means to me, and how, and this whole library is really about how we go about living it. And it's not the same every day, but there are some guiding principles for myself. And even in the method, as I change the method, using the method and looking at the technique, but also looking at my intention to guide me. and to help me along my path to ride my dreams. And Robert and my immense joy in helping you do the same by looking at yourself, looking at your method, having the courage to test them, having the courage to let go, and to look at the truth of things, not at the problem of things, but at the truths of what's going on, and to change your truths and to see the beauty that's there, the immense beauty, both within yourself and your horse. So thanks so much for listening to this video. I hope that if you're watching this, you're enjoying the library, and please feel free to comment and ask questions to help us help you find more joy in your ride and be an inspired rider. And if you're watching this outside of the video library, that I hope that you will come and join us. Happy trails.